I have vivid memories of being on long evening calls almost every night over a period where I guess I don't, we would move our assemblage points, or I moved mine, nudge a little bit, sometimes more than a little bit, sometimes whatever. That's not the point that I'm making. The point I'm making is that I would wake up in the morning and be like, "The fuck happened? What I was thinking about. It's time to worry about some shit today."
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
I think everybody goes through that at one point or the other. And if they don't, well, it may be something wrong with them. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it seems to me that there's, let's say, not always work to be done, but it's not, there's improvements and things to be made. I don't know that I can get myself to say that there's like, yes, this is, this is it. I'm going to hold this one in place, because that complacency would seem to come with limitations or foreclosing.
It's much harder than it appears. Because it requires agreement. It's how safety is maintained in the community. Look at what Trump is doing to the whole damn society.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He goes from here to there to here to there to here to there. He can't hold a steady agreement.
Yeah, that makes sense. I hadn't thought about it like that, but that does make sense. Makes me think about what Ralph and I were talking about being tethered, and that tethering is agreement.
Well, yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
What's up, Ken? What's up,
hey,
John?
Ralph.
Hey, Ralph. How you doing, guy?
Good.
Watching some of the news.
Yeah, I caught some too today.
It was interesting. I didn't know that Sweden is the only country, one of the only countries that didn't do like a lockdown in their country. And they have the same kind of rates as we do, like per person, infectious rate, deaths, whatever.
Yeah, I saw that too on the news today. Well, I suppose we're going to start finding stuff out, because it looks like some states.
Don't go too fast there.
Okay.
They haven't leveled off either.
I know.
Well, let's see when that happens.
Yeah. So that leveling off in that herd immunity thing.
Yeah, herd immunity. That's what I picked up on. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah, well, that's something that Fox News would like you to believe. It may or may not be true. What if it is? That's interesting. What if it isn't? That's lethal.
Yeah, I know, it's lethal. There's a couple of local guys here. A Bedminster cop, young guy, 38. He died.
Yeah.
So you don't know.
Yeah. I think it seems at least that over the next days or weeks, we're going to find out more about what it's like to loosen up restrictions, since some states seem pretty dead set on doing just that.
Well, I don't think they have any choice from the tax base.
Yeah. I mean, New Jersey's talking about they won't be able to afford to pay policemen, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Whatever the state pays.
Money make the world go round. The world go round. The world go round.
Yeah. But anyway, Ken, I had a good idea for floating. When I was in your float thing later on when I was leaving, I was thinking about what the float process was like. And all right, so it gave me the idea. It's like I was watching this reality show, and this reality show basically communicated with the guest via one of these Alexa type of instruments, and it was like a virtual voice that gave them their direction and show. And maybe the show is fresh in my mind.
Mm.
What I thought would be really cool, like if the person coming into his room closes the door and somehow you hit a button and he gets a 2 minute, 5 minute virtual tour, like, they got to get set up anyway. You know what I mean? Hi, welcome to Quantum Floats. You know what I mean? And just go a little intro that kind of gets you in that soothing,
Mm.
like, you know what I mean? That atmosphere. And then you go do your float,
Yeah. What if I?
That's getting really, really close to programming people without their knowledge.
I tell you though, but while you're in the
Go
room,
slow. I want to go slow here, Ralph, so that you don't. When John says something, at least for me, I always want to like give myself a make sure that I got it. You might just be faster than me.
yeah,
That's
I'm
very
like,
close to programming people.
yeah, I can see how that feels opposite, but in some way, it's like a relaxing thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you don't,
you can tell, but the thing is that it's the only reason it's relaxing is because you're programming them, and
yeah,
so therefore you are pre-programming them, and I can't agree with that for tanks at all.
Yeah.
Whatever they take in there, they take in there. Whatever they don't need to be prepared, they are prepared. Whatever they're going to face, they're going to face. And if I fuck with that in any way, shape, or form, I'm fucking with their trajectory, and I don't have that right.
I didn't know it like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are the masters. Like I said, I just thought like as you're
No,
there, showering, getting ready.
look, it's not that I haven't thought about it. It's not even that, it isn't even that I don't practice it on a regular basis. It's that I can't do it on a pre-programmed computerized voice because that's not personal. That's not that you can't discount that. You don't know where that's coming from or what it means.
It could be Ken's voice. It's like a preparation for the room.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't need a
hey,
preparation for the room, really. That's the last thing in the world that anybody needs is preparation. They do not need that. That
Yeah.
that that is not fair to them.
Yeah. I'll. People will come in and always ask, "What should I be doing and what should I be thinking about?" And that's just whatever you're doing and thinking about.
You can't do
You
it.
know. In other words, you don't want me in your head for this float or any float. I'm probably already in your head because, well, we influence each other.
But we can we can minimize that
Yes,
effect in the tank, can't we?
we can. We can. Yes, absolutely. And speaking of minimizing it, or uh, Ralph, you might find this interesting. Maybe Pam too. Pam may have even been on the receiving end of this. Um, I've been down to Mexico for classes, retreats, whatever you want to call them, lots of times. And I found myself many times sitting in a class. And I wouldn't say that it wasn't that I was paying attention. It wasn't like that I caught a momentary not paying attention. It was more that things were being presented to me well, building knowledge, let's just say, and I would be resistant to it in probably much the same way that Jesse Weaver has been down there. But maybe we'll get to that in a bit. But then, John, you would say to me something like, "Don't you?" You got to hear this part, Ralph. This is
yeah,
interesting. John
I'm
would
listening.
say, "You may want to put this away yourself." Huh. I was like, no, thanks. I will allow you to put it away in my thinking. Because remember, it's a class. I paid to go down there for a class, and there's material that has to get covered. It's not a float tank thing. There's stuff to cover. And there I would be resisting, sometimes intensely resisting what was going on. In much the same way that Jesse's been resisting well, resisting being able to communicate with what the fuck they're doing down there is really what he's doing. He's not really talking to anybody. But I know what that's like, Ralph, because John would say to me, hey, look, you're in the middle of a class here. Either you're going to put it away and you're thinking, or I'm going to put it away. And often I was naive and I'd say, or I'd not say it, I would think to myself and say, fucking A, I'll let you put it away. Well, guess what? We do. We influence each other. When something gets communicated to me, especially at that deep delta level, talking to me as a soul, it's in there. The question is, can I find it? Can I use it? And often that one took me a couple years to kind of figure out why he was giving me that warning, saying that I might want to put it away myself. Because oftentimes I would just be jumbled in there until I kind of settled down and caught up with it myself.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about the, you're kind of pushing programming. So what I was looking at was like the millennial, and then trying to add some like excitement to the, to the hour or whatever you're gonna do. It's like you come in and it's like, if you had somebody give you an instruction, it's great. But I think once you're in, the room's a little quiet, and you got a tank, so you're gonna do a lot of.
I'll tell you what. When you open your float center, you can leave yourself open for that lawsuit. I'm not going to. Thank you. But okay, it's a great idea.
What the hell could that even mean, John Worthington? I mean, it's just a freaking float center, dude. What kind of lawsuit? All I'm doing is just, a little bit of,
a little subliminal brainwash.
Yeah, that's what they're going to say.
No, but like it's like an introduction.
Listen, I've been doing this for more than 20 years. Okay, since '72. All right, that was a long time ago. And I can tell you something here, that's how people think about floating. They think that you're fucking with their thinking. They're even afraid when you talk to them about look, everybody's a soul. They say, no, don't tell me about that, because what if the soul takes over? It never dawns on them, what if it has already been, what if it took over? What if it's been trying to take over from the beginning? What if that was the reason why it's along for the ride? People think about things in strange ways until they actually understand how things work. And in programming, there's lots of room for interpretation. I have no qualms about the interpretation part, but everybody gets to interpret it how they want to. I don't have any worry about that, but I don't personally leave myself open for programming somebody else. I don't think that's all right. I don't think it's fair. And I think that people, when they understand why I'm saying that, are going to be pissed off that they've been programmed, especially against their knowledge or without their knowledge.
When people understand, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
There are people calling into there are people calling into helplines asking if they should ingest Clorox, who have been programmed, and if they knew that, they'd be pissed off about it. If they knew really what kind of how susceptible they were to that virus.
Yeah, that virus, as in the just whatever dishing out. It doesn't matter whether it's factually based kind of stuff, virus, right? And how a thought.
If an authority tells me, then it's all right.
Yeah.
Virus, okay. I don't want to be responsible for my own behavior. Virus.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm just thinking about, like, what if I told my kids something that would put them in harm's way? I mean, why would that would be the height of bad parenting?
Right, and to assume that that you're talking to only grown adults, no matter what their age, is really naive. That just isn't true. It can't be.
Yeah,
there are too many childish behaviors that come along with us as baggage from having been children. I mean, we all have them, and if somebody tickles that fancy, we're going to vibrate with them. We will.
would you say that the set of programs, what Lily calls self-meta programs, what we can call beliefs in things real, are pretty much locked and loaded for most people by say age 3.5, 4?
For what they're going to consider as real, pretty much, I'd say, yeah. There are some modifications to it later in life, like in school, like in high school and so forth, when it's fine-tuned mostly. But you can find the roots of it way back early in their lives. That's always the case.
Yeah, that makes sense then. What we're talking about in a very real sense, what we're talking to people whose programming is frozen at about age 3 or 4.
Well, not their programming so much as their beliefs in real. In other words, the things that they consider as real. In other words, if mom and dad had a relatively narrow view of the world, okay, that they have to work real hard, and that's how life is. If you get up early, you work real hard, you go to bed late, or you whatever. Then you're liable to think the same way. I mean, at least you're going to start like that. Now you may hold that in back in your thinking for quite some period of time, saying, okay, well, this is how life is, and I have to work that way. Chris Olson was talking about that the other night, about how it is that he thought that mom and dad expected him to do. He doesn't realize that he's still trying to make mom and or dad happy back when he was 3 years old. He just can't grok that, and so it's okay. I got it, but that's the reality he keeps trying to address, and there is no such thing as that reality. Mom and dad, well, you can make them happy when you're 3.5 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 even, but that's not what they were trying to get you to do. They were trying to get you to learn stuff, not be happy, or make them happy.
Yep. Well, let me see if I can segue from the tool of programming, which frees up the energy of the B1 function. So the B1 function being an expression of who we are as a soul. Segue that into
but let's just say as a complete being.
Yeah.
The body, all the whole package.
Yep.
No, not that package. The other whole package.
Yeah, I know this. Yeah. So many ways people. Yeah, so many ways.
Right. Well, words are fun. It's not. Words not the thing.
Not exactly. So then the segue from, about what we're talking about programming into moving the assemblage point, which we introduced last Friday as changing points of view as a kind of a shortcut or baby step way to understand what moving the assemblage point is. Let's take like a Chris Olson. Yeah, Chris is, we're talking about his programming, but the way I see it is that if you take the set of beliefs in real, then you could call that set a certain lens through which he sees the world and goes about the world and does things.
Yeah, it's not. We all have those, okay, and they are. It's kind of like that we have a kaleidoscope, if you will, okay. And if you think about why you see a kaleidoscope is that it's divided up into segments, right? And so we're entertained by the changes, but the changes are echoed in all the segments, and it's the segments that make it interesting, not the way not the structure of the thing. And so we kind of get caught in all the different segments that we program into our lives as children, the things that we look at, the colors that we look at, the things that we focus on. It's normal. Everybody does that, of course. But the problem then is that later, what happens is that you have to get to a place where you can say, okay, how do I take the divisions out of the kaleidoscope? And that's what you do with programming. You make it into one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get that all slowed down till it's just one thing you're looking at, you say, oh, okay, well, that's kind of disordered, or it's ordered, or it's whatever it is, and you're happy with it. Then you can turn around and say, well, let's see, what else can I do here now that I understand that? And to do that, you have to look at somebody else and be in harmony with them. Well, how are you going to be in harmony with somebody if they are like you and they can't they can't stop the division in their kaleidoscope? And you can help them do that. Then you have to understand how it is that their kaleidoscope is divided with.
Yeah.
So if you did that, then you'd have to see how they thought, or you'd say you'd have to move the way that you assemble the world to the way that they assemble the world.
Yeah. It's like the tool of programming, which frees up the energy that the B1 function expresses, is almost like a necessary step to being in harmony. How are you gonna?
Well, you could say it that way, certainly. I don't know if that's the only way that you can say it, but you can certainly say it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm, here's the thing. I'm not sure that they don't happen simultaneously. It's kind of like the double slot experiment, right?
Yeah.
The electron go through this one or the other one or the both of them, or what happened right there? I mean, because it's so.
Yeah.
What happens is rather than having lines of thought or balls of thought, what you have to do is you have to change it into wave probabilities of thought.
Yeah.
And that changes the whole concept of thinking, well, quite a bit, I think.
Yeah. There's an assemblage point, or more than one. The whole fiddler's house thing, I think, is stand-in for an assemblage point that is maintained in your household.
Well, of course, because my house in my house, this is a tank office. This is a tank office training facility. And so I'm training people in a tank office because, well, I actually live in a tank office training facility. So
Yeah.
I live like that way. Okay. Now, the thing is that yes, that's the assemblage point that I require when you're here, but what I actually require is that you be able to move your assemblage point to wherever it's necessary for you, not because you're here. When you're here, come put it where we have it here. Learn what this is about. Learn what this assemblage point about. Then go do whatever the hell you want to. I don't care. But while you're here, learn this one. I don't think that's too hard a thing to ask. I mean, that's what you came for, was to learn what is it we're doing here. So, okay, learn it.
Yeah.
Quit arguing.
It's not too.
Quit telling me I can't do it. All right.
I won't tell you that because I've been on the receiving end of having that happen.
Yeah, but it's amazing to me the number of people that tell me that.
Oh yeah, totally.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I told you that. But if I was, if I was interested in doing that, and I kind of use that loosely because you'd think everybody would be, but yet there's built a bunch of resistance to it. I would very much want to understand how you think about a tank office. In other words, I want to be willingly moving my assemblage point to how you think about things so that I could then try that on and compare it to.
Here's the advantage. If you don't know about a tank office, all right,
Mm-hmm.
and I do. I've done a tank office, and I've thought about tank offices and what people do in tank offices and what people do when they float and so forth. Fine. I'll tell you what I think about. It's that's what we're talking about here in the book here. That's what that's really about, is to tell people, okay, look, here's a way to think about what you're doing in the tank office. It's like, not because you're Mr. Magic, but because you have to hold the community's agreement. You know, the community's coming to talk to you to hold their agreement. They want you to be a safety for them. They want you to be able to move to their assemblage point, understand what the hell they're doing. What are they suffering with now? What are they going through? They need that from people.
Yeah.
How do you find a solution? Well, first of all, you say, okay, here, come over here and anchor right here. Come over here, touch base right here. Now, take a deep breath. You're safe for the moment. You're not going to float away. You're locked down right here. I'll hold your hand. Don't go nowhere. Mm-hmm. Now, please go ahead and go do whatever you're going to go do, or go think about whatever you're going to go do. But I'll hold this end of it down for you, and I'll try my damnedest to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Now, that's what I need to do in a tank office. When somebody comes to my tank office, I want to show them how that's done, because it's not a common skill. I'm sorry to say, but it is not a common skill. It's a skill that I don't know very many people who can actually do that.
Yeah, I don't either.
And so it requires actually seeing and feeling and thinking like that other person does, without losing who the frick you are, or being able to go to that one, or go to another one, or go to another one, or go to whichever one that whoever you are, goes to, and whatever you do within that. And being able to build this triangle that you're trying to build here gives you the ability to be that agile in your thinking.
Okay.
It's a bridge to that agility.
Okay. I think I can summarize part of what you said by saying that you move your assemblage point to, I don't know, move it to theirs, or at least take a look at what they see with using their assemblage point.
Well, let's say that I looked for what they're making real in their life.
Okay.
Because whatever they're making real in their life, they're either happy with or they're not happy with. If they're happy with it, they're going to emanate happiness with it. If they're not happy with it, they're going to emanate not happiness with it. Okay. And it's not hard to say. It's like, well, how's life treating you? You know, that's fairly simple to say. Oh, you don't think life's treating you very nicely, do you? Fuck no. Yeah, see, I knew that just right away. You know, I must be sick or psychic or something.
Yep.
Right?
Right. Okay.
All right. So that's the explanation.
Okay. So let me start this way. I was looking at how reviewing how Carlos Castaneda, in his series of books that he wrote whenever in the 60s or 70s, talked about the assemblage point. And he talked about it in the way that he learned from, Don Juan, which was that we're like a luminous, we're more than just a body, but there's like a place almost outside of us in which that's fixed, through which we interpret the world. Okay. Now, as potentially mystical as that might seem, it really doesn't strike me as being mystical at all, because in modern language, we have we're a perception that allows us to see only what our perception allows us to see. So what comes in from the outside by way of information has to be filtered through that fixed perception. But who says it has to be fixed? Just as much as who says your assemblage point has to be fixed in a place. Seems like we're talking about the same thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, so George and Jesse, they're not able to move their assemblage point yet. Have they not been able, like, you know what I'm saying, to catch more of what the training is?
I think that, we could hear from Jesse, but I think he's just locked down to holding on to a way that he has grown up seeing the world. I understand what that's like. I can't be harsh on the guy at all, but he's pretty damn resistant to that. Wouldn't you say, Jesse? I got your mic on if you're listening.
Yeah, I've been pretty resistant.
Yeah, I mean, so much so that why don't you describe your current status there in terms of where you're sleeping or what you're doing, and that give a.
Yep, I'm outside working, and I sleep on top of Juan's casita, which is a little house outside by the big casita.
Okay.
So I'm pretty much restricted to outside unless I'm eating or going to the bathroom or that kind of thing.
And is this some crazy form of punishment, or I mean, I know the answer because I've been on the phone with you, but I don't know that everybody else does. That you've been dug into places where you just don't want to move away from them. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been angry and pissy with everybody, so nobody wants to deal with that. And the work that I'm doing is, a way to get some of my frustration out.
Okay, and probably to keep your frustration from spilling out into the business, because that would be there.
Yep.
So why do you think you can't gain your assembly point? The assembly.
Well, a lot of it, Ralph, is that I have been trying to put things into a formula or trying to understand it in some kind of logical way, trying to find the right words to say, the right recipe, if you want to call it that. Just trying to put everything in a box of things that I already knew from my past instead of looking at it from a fresh perspective.
Yeah, that's it seems to me, a fairly sanitized answer. And I think the sanitization of those words are kind of part of what's going on. Let me put it in my perspective, Jesse. Maybe you can see this. I'm fucking angry, motherfucker, dude. But I wouldn't be there in Mexico angry. Not that I at least was, not that I thought other people could see it. I thought it was all tucked away and hidden. And Kaplan here, but it was there, and that created a freaking resistance, a self-imposed resistance. But I found that the only way to get past that resistance was to find, like, me, who I am. All right, let me go this way with it because it's part of what I want to cover tonight. Look, we're building a model here, a thought model, not just one so that you can say, "Ooh, oh, great, I have a thought model. This is awesome," and tuck it away in your notebook. It's a usable thought model, but one that requires that you build into that model the expression of who you are, whatever you want to call that, more than the body, give it your own soul, other, what the hell. It's built into that model. It's built into that model in like a directional kind of way. In other words, by directional, I mean that it's bearing down on you energetically. But the expression of that bearing down energetically must necessarily, as Terry has in this chart here, go through the body. Except in Jesse's case, there's this resistance in the form of some self-meta program at the level of belief. It's got to be at the level of belief that no, I won't, and I can't, and I won't. It doesn't quite come out like that for him. But that's what's going on. Okay.
I say something.
Pam?
Yeah, hi.
Hey. How
How are you?
you doing?
I could totally relate to what this fellow's saying. I can't see him, or I could just hear his words because I'm just using my phone, so I don't really get to see anybody. But I could totally relate to that anger, and that, one of the things that John teaches is to get to yourself. You have to get through that anger, right? Like, to get through the trap, you have to go through the trap. And so part of that is just owning the anger, recognizing that you're angry, and that you're not going to get over the anger by trying to tuck it away
Oh,
and
like it's not there, you mean?
right, like it's not there, John.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I believe you. You're
And
right.
I believe you too.
It really is.
So
I don't know what that is.
so
It's not
I
anger.
think to really change that assemblage point is to own the anger and recognize that on the other side of that anger is your beautiful self, your the soul that you're looking for. It's
Oh, Pam, please don't
right there.
Pam, he's gay, all right?
Yeah.
Don't tell him he's fabulous, please. We're trying to get him to stay human for a while here. We don't mind the gay part. He can be fabulous tomorrow, but right now we just want him to be human. That's it. Nothing else. Just as a human being, we like that he's gay. It's fine, but for right now, we want him to concentrate on the human part, because he's kind of let that
Right, but I mean that's
we
that's
keep
his
excited away
his
from fabulousness right now.
his clearest sense of himself is on the other side of that anger. That's what I wanted to say.
That was what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. That's that. Yeah.
By the way, Pam,
Sorry, what?
I have a burning question I've been meaning to ask you for years.
Go ahead.
Have you hijacked any tractor trailers recently?
Sounds like a story.
That's a private story.
But it's unforgivable, yeah.
Yeah, that is a funny story.
So Pam, it sounds like from your wisdom to Jesse that anger was something that you dealt with.
Yes, yeah, big time. I mean, I had a screaming hissy fit, but on the other side of that was, the place I'd always been trying to get to and couldn't figure out how to get there.
It sounds like what you're saying is you had to start with "Buck, I'm angry," and even that place.
Well,
being
even yes, but I think that third party perspective is really what really sends it home, is people being honest with you, when you're sitting in that room, and people are trying to help you by being honest, and they're making you angry because you're being pushed against the wall.
Yeah.
But you have to then look at yourself, right?
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that too. In blind rage fury, in some places, only to pop out a day or two or three or a week later and who was that? I can't believe I just spent 2 weeks of my life in fury. And it was I thought I was going crazy at times, because I really got to uncork that anger. And even though I denied it and I had my facade of, nice, cordial lawyer, I got to see it not just in me, but I got to see it in my mom. I got to see it in my family. And I got to see that cork of cauldron of anger that was beneath that. And then go off on these weeks of angry, like, fuck you all. I'm never coming back to this group and goodbye. And, and only like to pop out of it and to say, oh my gosh, I self-generated that whole thing.
Right. Or, another way is you're beating yourself up all the time. Like like I don't know myself, and how come I don't know myself at this point in my life, and fuck you all,
Right. It's past 8 p.m. We're not. All right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So.
And I know me, and you don't know me, and go fuck yourself.
Mr. Bob. Oh
my. Thanks to Elise. Thank you, Elise.
You're welcome.
Yeah. She's been a good spark to me too.
Well, she's been a big spark to herself, eh?
That's true, yeah.
Look at how innocent he looks back there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so go ahead. Somebody, I'm gonna.
Who's gonna? Elise, did you want to say something?
Well, one of the things that kind of did even piss me off more is when I found out the anger wasn't in the other person. They were just pushing on it until it popped up. It was always operative in me.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I can't even blame them for my anger. I can't say they're making me angry because that's always been there.
Right. Yeah, it's about owning that anger, and really that helps dissipate the anger.
Because it's kind of dumb, but that's a good way to learn it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to reiterate, if I might, though, one more time, that it's not the anger nearly as much as it is the threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think what you're saying is because if you think of the threat, you're always thinking about the belief. What is it? Where's the threat?
Yeah, but what's that threat? Yeah, what is that threat?
Why am I angry? Okay, so you made me angry. Okay, about what was it exactly that you did that I'm angry about? And then find out why that's a threat. What's that threatening in me? Because that's really the cause for the anger, is the threat. Because anger, fight, flee, and freeze, they're all threat responses, and we're hardwired with them, almost. We're hardwired with the slot. Then we fill it up with crap. I mean, you can just pour all kinds of stuff in. It's fun, apparently.
Yeah,
it was for me.
Yeah. In the chapter 2 that we're going through, there's a part that talks about having dominion or control, you could say, or being deliberate about the reactions that you have. Because when you ask the question, what's the threat? The answer, well, the reality is that there isn't any. There's a perception of a threat. Because you've never asked me that question when I was in the Serengeti, running away from lions, and I had to look back and say, "Bugger, look back. There's the threat." It was never like that. It's a perception of a threat that then puts us in motion. Well, we're always in motion. Always. All the time. We go, all day long.
Isn't that perception, though, again, based on something that you created for yourself when you're a child? And so you go through your life thinking that's how you handle things, but it's a false perception, or it's a belief that, you know, you think has helped you get through life the way you have, but it's a false belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. False, false in the sense that it doesn't line up with like what's going on, you know, right?
Well, it comes from something that, let's say, happened to you as a child that gave you that fight, flight, or freeze thing. But in reality, in other words, the core of it is down at a very young age, but the tentacles of it has affected your whole life.
Yeah.
That's that whole building block of beliefs. And so changing that assemblage point kind of closes down all those tentacles, so that you're living a more truthful existence as an adult. In other words, you're owning your behavior more. You're 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 I think that's the way I would explain it. You're responsible for your behavior. The way you perceive things is more as an adult, rather than responding from that perception you created from when you're a child.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Anybody else have any questions here?
I'd like to comment with Jesse again still. So his assemblage point. I'd really like to see him move his assemblage point. Like from Jesse's perspective.
You're in the club, Ralph.
What does he think his roadblock is? Why can't he move his assemblage point? Maybe he can't see it from there, but maybe he kind of knows what's stopping him.
Ask him.
Mama. Oh, mama.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse?
Jesse, you're on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear Ralph's question?
What's stopping me from moving my assemblage point, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's like it's not okay to be angry for me. It's
Yeah. We know. Yeah.
There it is. That's an assembly point right
Yep.
there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Jesse, do you think it's like maybe like a current or very recent relationship maybe that you kind of have lingering that maybe you can't close, or there's not acceptance of maybe something you're doing in your life currently?
George?
You know what I mean? That
No.
mm-mm. No.
Why don't you tell him what it is, Jesse, then?
Well, I was raised where that it's pretty much that you're passive aggressive about stuff. You can't display anger. It's not okay. Or at least when I was a kid, it's like, okay, you can't get mad at people. You're not supposed to yell or scream. Everything's supposed to be hunky-dory. Like, you're not supposed to do that. That's just not how people behave.
So they get all mad behind your back and give you a burning stare and take it out in that way. It looks still pretty much like anger to me.
Or they grin, fuck you.
Yeah.
Jesse, go ahead. Go on ahead. Ralph asked the question. You need. This is your opportunity to straighten this out here for yourself. Now follow through with it, please. The guy's giving you a hand here. Come on.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, by that rule set, I think that's what stopped me from moving my assemblage point, or at least expressing my anger. And the way I expressed it is in this passive aggressive "fuck you," like
Oh,
I'm
wait,
just
wait,
gonna
wait,
like.
wait. Go back a step here. You said that was what allowed you. Who's the you that's been being allowed?
The
See, I don't think the you's being allowed at all. I think the program's running, not the you.
Mhm.
I don't think that you and you are the anger.
Yeah.
You know, there was that black choir from South Africa that was on America's Got Talent this year, and I mean, these are kids from. I mean, the women in the village still carry water 2 or 3 miles every day just to drink and cook. It's kind of back in the woods somewhat, but yet they're on an international stage because of how well they sing. And the reason why they do that is because one of the statements that they teach these kids in this choir is that you just because you're born into poverty doesn't mean that you are poverty. And just because you're born into passive aggressiveness does not mean that you are passive aggressiveness, Jesse Weaver. I don't know what you are, but I know that that's not what it is. And as long as you insist that that's what you are, I'm going to deal with you as though that's what you are, because that's the agreement you wish for me to deal with you as. All right. I'm not happy with that agreement, but since you want it, since you think that passive aggressive is a way to live, all right, here, let me agree with you and show you how passive aggressive works in the real world. And let's see if you really want to work with it like that. I don't. I think this is the part where you speak now, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to even look at it that way. It's like it.
Dude, I understand that it's interesting and all, but just for the record, I've been telling you that's how I look at it for over 30 days now.
Yeah, you have.
You've said no, that you are your passive aggressiveness, I guess. What else would you be saying? You won't change or exchange the passive aggressive or even address it as a real thing. This is the closest that you've come in 30 days, dude. And it's taken the pressure of a global pandemic, sleeping on the roof and under the stars, and being threatened with being put on the street, having to sleep on the patio for 2 weeks, and you still are being passive aggressive rather than saying, this is just pissing me off. That I can deal with. But if you're going to hide that you're pissed off, then I'm going to deal with you like you're hiding it. And I'm going to deal with you like I'm hiding mine too. Okay? Doesn't that sound like fun?
No.
It does to me. I'd really like to get up every morning and have to hide my fucking passive aggressiveness. I like to fucking express my aggressiveness so that everybody in the world knows what the fuck that's about. How about you? You want to have some of that? You know what? Something that really gets me going and expressing my aggressiveness? Some silly fucker that thinks that he's passive aggressive.
Jesse, how come he said that? Dude.
Like, well, I mean, that's what's real. I've approached things passive aggressively. It's like, it's,
It's not real to everybody, Jesse, just to clue you in. Hello? The rest of the world may not think like you.
Nope.
It's a possibility.
Yep.
Grandma speaks.
I get you here, Jesse. Maybe as much as anyone here. I understand, dude, what it's like to hold back anger and not say things that I was pissed about. I know what.
I think you're giving him an out. You know, John's holding him to the fire, Ken, and you're giving him an out.
Okay.
Did you feel sorry for the pumpkin, Ken?
Yeah. Yeah.
You made that same mistake.
Yeah. I think she's right. Yeah.
John is so happy right now. I can just see it oozing. You got called out, Ken.
That's all right. Dude, yeah. That's look at, if I can't, look at pile that I create, then the hell am I doing on, doing these shows? Yeah, I get that.
Way to go, Pam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but listen to John.
Okay.
Go again, Jesse. That was the commercial break, and everybody enjoyed it a lot. It's better than Budweiser this year.
it just,
Hey, dude.
it just fucking pisses me off. Like,
Yeah, but Jesse, when you say that with a whine, it just sounds passive aggressive.
No,
It doesn't sound like you're not
no, it doesn't. It sounds so gay, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Little gay boy.
Jesse, look, see, this is the thing. Rather than being gay here, be human here for a second, all right? I don't mind that you're gay. Don't misunderstand. I don't mind that your gayness is offended even. That's fine, okay? What I mind here is that your humanness is being ignored completely. And that bothers me. I don't think it's good for anybody, even for you. I don't really think it's a good thing for you. I think it hurts you. I think it costs you monetarily. I think it costs you in terms of your own self-worth. I think it costs you in every way, shape, and form. Now, you apparently disagree with me about that. You'd rather demonstrate how much that thing that you're holding on to is valuable, or what value it has, by sleeping on one's roof and generally contributing to society by breaking rocks. Okay. And you say you went to Colorado for rolfing, did you? And you're a certified rolfer, but we can't do that because you're pissed because people tell you the truth. And you're wondering why it is I don't want you training massage people in my float office? Well, Jesse, it's because I don't want anybody to even think like that in my float office. That's not how a float office people in the float office may not do that to other people in the float office unless they're upfront about it. And if you hide it, then you're programming people behind their back, and that's not okay. I'm sorry, this is the part where
It's one of those moments, yeah.
no,
His turn.
no. I mean, it's not okay.
Well, apparently so. You know, this is the argument here. I'm not telling you you're wrong or anything like that. Here's the thing. I agree with you, however you see it. There are consequences, however, to behaviors that are associated with how you're seeing it apparently. Now, since I can't separate you from the behavior, since you and behavior seem to be one, according to you, according to me, you're not, but according to you, you are, then I'm agreeing with you as though that you're correct. What else can I do except agree with that? In which case I'm saying, okay, I'm sorry that I can't help you, but what I do here is a tank office, and I can't have that kind of feel sorry for me in a tank office. It fucks with people. It's invisible, and it fucks with them because they can't see that's how they're being programmed. And I can't afford to have that. That's not what I'm doing here. The programming I have here has to be upscale because that's who I'm talking to. You know, I'm talking to the best people in all of Vallarta that are therefore connected to the best people in all of Guadalajara, which is like Mexico. And so you're not paying attention to me here about this, and I can't get your attention about it, dude.
And it's global for him. It doesn't matter who he's talking to, because it's completely, it's everywhere in his thinking. It doesn't matter whether he's talking to John or whether he's talking to Ken or whether he's talking to Terry. He does the same thing.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is that he's not really talking to any of us.
Well, he's not. No, he's talking to. He is. But what he's doing is he's talking to you. He's telling you what he thinks that he's supposed to say, not what he actually thinks. That's what Ken was saying, is that Ken can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Ken does understand that, but the thing is that Ken kind of vibrates there. And Jesse goes, "Oh, somebody likes me, right, Ken?"
Yeah.
Oh, kidding me.
Yep.
Buds. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Great.
what's up, dude?
Yep.
That's kind of how that one goes down, and it's okay. You know, I'm glad that Jesse feels as though that you're on his side. He needs that. He does. But at the same time, he needs to also understand that that's
Yep.
not acceptable behavior in a tank office. Anywhere else, yes, it is. I don't mind. I'm not arguing with him anywhere else, but not in a tank office.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I crashed that one in non-tank office space too, so I don't think it has value. I understand he's entitled to do it, but I'd question its value. And
I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
Yeah.
to every. You know,
Yep.
anybody
Yep.
melts their butter or whatever. I'm
Yep.
good. Okay. I don't have any trouble with that.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, Jesse, you got.
Go ahead, Jesse. It's your nickel. I mean, you should speak up and say what's on your mind at this point. You should.
Well, it's like the passive aggressiveness has, like, it's affected so much in my life. Like, I can't say that.
There's no doubt about it. I'm sure that it has. It's a rule of your life, actually. Right?
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm not upset about that. I'm just telling you that you can't do that in a tank office, guy. And I live in a tank office. So, what are we going to do about that?
Like, I just have to say why I'm pissed off or what's going on with me. So it's not.
The question is not why you're pissed off. It's what's the threat, really. That's the question. And unless you can talk to me about what the threat is, I can't really make much progress with figuring out who it is I'm talking to.
Like, well, the threat is that it's like I'm gonna upset somebody. That if I get angry, then they're gonna be pissed off.
You are angry, and they are pissed off. Is there some part of that that you don't understand, even when it's in Braille?
It's like this.
That's great.
I don't think Jesse can see that in his phone.
Yeah.
I gave you the finger, Jesse, so you have the visual to go along with what I did.
So, are you with Jess?
Yeah.
Okay. No, don't give up.
Okay.
Keep going. Come on, pull yourself out of this now.
Okay. So it's like I'm grin fucking everybody.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody's saying. That's not a phrase that you use, so that's not what you do.
Yeah.
That's a borrowed phrase. Okay, but that is what you're doing. Yeah. But all right. But go ahead though. Don't stop. Keep going. What and why do you do that?
Well, I do that because it's like I'm trying to figure out why the fuck I hide my anger. Like why don't I just say that I'm pissed off? Why do I have to like scrunch up my fucking face and do this stupid smile shit or not say anything? And then
maybe if you understood what the threat, if you talked about the threat rather than all of this silly behavior, everybody has little things that they do. I use my hands and stuff. You probably don't notice that, but I
wish I had flashcards that I could hold up that said threat.
That would be helpful.
Come on, this is what we're talking about. Threat.
Yeah. Jesse,
Break them.
so what's the threat, dude? Just look at that part. Okay. What scares you? Or what is it that pisses you off? What is the thing really?
well, it's that like I mean it even pissed me off when I was young. It's just like people saying shit about me or like that I have like the poking fun and like it's
Okay.
like
Stop. Just stop. Did you ever meet my Aunt Laverna?
no.
That's a shame because my Aunt Laverna was a wonderful little girl. She must have weighed 50 pounds soaking wet. She was the oldest of my dad's brothers and sisters. I think she lived to, I don't know, 100 or 90, 99.9 or something. I don't know. She was pretty pure. And her last year, she moved all the dirt from the greenhouse over to the church parking lot so that they would take care of the dirt. And she moved it over there in a wheelbarrow, and she shoveled it herself. And she also got up on her roof and shoveled the snow off every year because if you didn't do that, the pipes would freeze. They couldn't get heating up there for hell. I was 60 at the time, and she still was up there shoveling it off. It was like that when I was 5. So for 50 years or so, they hadn't done a damn thing to the upstairs except unthaw the pipes every time they broke. So anyway, but she was an old timer type of lady. She'd lived pretty much through the Depression, and she'd grown up on a farm that just been carved out of the mountainside and so forth. And she was the oldest of a whole bunch of kids, and she used to go hide in the wheat field because she sat down in the wheat field, nobody could find her because she wasn't that tall. So whenever she got tired of all the kids, that's what she went and did. I saw her after my dad passed away, and I asked her about, and one of the people I asked her about was my cousin, Jimmy Steinbacher. You remember Jimmy, I'm sure. And if you don't, it's okay. No one else does either. But I did at the time for some strange reason, and I asked Laverna about Jimmy. I said, Laverna, do you know whatever happened to Jimmy Steinbacher? And she said, well, he went off to the army, and he come back and he married that broad from over at Pittsburgh, and they got 3 kids. Hmm. That was her entire life story about Jimmy Steinbacher. That took up like 40 years of his life right there. And I kind of wondered then later what she would have said about my life story. And I figured that no matter what it was probably true because there was nothing that was a lie in what she said about Jimmy Steinbacher, even though it wasn't very complimentary. Now, what I took from that was that I could quit being so damn sensitive about somebody saying something about me that was the God's truth. Now, if you can't deal with that human part of you about being a fuck up, then God help you, hot dog, because nobody else is gonna. This is the part where you speak now, okay?
Well, I mean, that's
What's your mama's name?
Lori.
Oh, yeah. Lori's boy, the gay one. Yeah, he went off to Colorado, learned how to do some kind of massage, and then he went off to Mexico and somewhere and got scared off, come back with his tail between his legs. I don't know what happened to that boy.
Ended up living on a roof.
Okay, I see what you're pointing at. It's
Not yet. It can get way worse by the time somebody else tells that story. And people that your mom, Lori, knows are going to tell that story in such a wonderful way about her and about you. Don't you think so?
yeah, they would. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah, they would tell her in a uncomplimentary fashion, wouldn't they?
Right.
Yeah. So why don't you keep on acting the fools to make your mama proud, then, boy? And why don't you show me how pissed off you are? I'm really impressed about all that. I am. Well, I'm going to be pissed off over nothing before. You're the first one I've ever seen it. Ever. I've never seen it ever. I've never saw that before. I've never even been one myself before either. This is virgin territory. It must be because you're gay.
Well, I doubt that's true.
That you're gay?
No, that this is your first rodeo.
Of all the things John said, that's what you took home.
You're pissed off because of that.
Well, I took out more than that. I mean, it's like you're pointing out my mistakes so I don't fuck up and have that story.
No, I am not pointing out any mistakes. No, I'm not.
I don't think he should worry his little gay head about it.
Well, neither, but I don't want to pick on him. It's not a mistake.
Yeah.
It's a wired-in response to something that you think is a threat, and you haven't identified that to see whether it's actually threatening or not.
Yep.
It might not even be a threat.
How about it?
Yep. Before you said, I get all pissed off. And then John stopped and said, well, who's the I that's getting pissed off? Is like, maybe there's something beyond that, but you just identify with pissed off as your only calling card.
That's who I am, pissed off. I am pissed off. No, you're not. You're more than pissed off, aren't you? No, I'm pissed off. Oh, okay, then you're pissed off. Cool. Pissed off, come to eat. Pissed off, time to get out. You pissed off yet?
Jeez.
Let me see if I can piss you off, pissed off.
Okay, yeah. More than pissed off, it's just a thing that comes up from the threat. I get what you're saying.
And what's the threat?
What's the threat? Da 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 da. What's the threat? Oh, what's the threat? Oh, what's the threat? Oh, what's the threat?
There's a theme song going on here.
Well, the threat is that people won't like me or that they will leave.
People don't like you.
And they will leave.
Okay.
And in the place of them leaving, they're kicking you out. That's okay. If that's a threat, then maybe you should not be so threatening. Maybe you should, Jesse, I mean, here's just a suggestion. I'm not telling you this is something, but it's something you should consider. Rather than finding a reason to argue and fight with everybody, what if you change that into finding a reason to get along with anybody? because you wanted to get the energy that they could extend to you through their agreement, as opposed to seeking out the disagreement from everybody because what, you're gay, or because you're from Orangeville, or because you're ugly, or what.
No, the other way would work better. Finding a place where I can agree with people, as opposed to trying to find a fucking argument every 2 seconds.
Yeah, that makes sense in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a great idea you got there, dude.
Jesse, can I say something?
Sure.
In some way, do you feel like maybe like you wish you weren't gay? Like your internal struggle is you wake up.
Yeah.
Rob, no. We're way past that. If we were doing with that, he wouldn't be on this call. Trust me on that one. Jesse, go ahead. You need to answer the man now, really, because you're
Okay.
whining about this. So come on, get it out here. It's a legitimate question he's got, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then.
Yeah, I mean, it was something I had to deal with in harmony class when I came back a couple years ago. It was the first time I ever came out because I was like, a lot of the things I was trying to do was get rid of the gay, like all the workshops and things I was doing. Well, maybe it's a problem. It's a defect. So I have to find some way to get rid of it. There's something wrong with me. And so for me to come out and say I'm gay and be okay with that, that was a huge step, because I was really fighting it. I didn't want anybody to see it. I didn't want anybody to know.
And now?
It's like, now it's fine. It's like, if it's how I am. It's what I'm attracted to. It doesn't make me,
Yeah, but did you accept it? Did you accept it yourself? Are you still feeling like maybe it's like, it's not what your parents wanted, and you know what I'm saying? Some
well,
of the things
it's not what my parents wanted, but I still have to be me. It's like, I can't live to make them happy.
Right. But you can also get over. There might be something there that's blocking it.
Really, Ralph, it really ain't there. You're barking up the wrong chair. That dog ain't gonna hunt. It's somewhere else, really. We've been down this road 3 times, and I've been thorough about this road, cleaning it out and leveling it and so forth, and it works pretty well at the moment. This isn't, but that dog ain't gonna hunt. That's not where this problem is. This problem is related to mom, not to gay.
Either way, you got to be able to kind of accept whatever it is in your head, Jesse. Give yourself a clean slate, and look, you know how to reprogram, but you got to accept. You got to kind of, I don't know, whatever it is. If it's a feeling, something, forgive yourself for it. Clean slate, bro. Tomorrow starts a new day.
Well,
start, not anger.
Ralph, wait. See, that's not really the issue here. The issue isn't about a clean slate. The issue is about who's speaking. And that's what he's really fighting about, is who it is that's doing the talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it consciousness, or is it the substance of whoever Jesse actually is?
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about whatever that substance is. I don't care what it is. I'm not trying to shape it or change it or any of those kinds of things. I just want to see it expressed from however Jesse expresses it. That's all. And he seems to be somewhat afraid of that, which a lot of people are. I think that's what Pam was talking about a while ago, actually, because she had to get past the anger so she could get to the place where she could express who Pam is, which is really quite a fascinating and lovely lady who has very interesting stories from her spent youth. Or well-spent youth, depending on how you wish to look at it.
Well, maybe some time, Jesse. You know what I mean? It's trying to kind of get it all in one shot is a little much. Don't give up. Tomorrow again starts a new day. Try to tackle whatever it is. And you don't have to. You know what I mean? Like every day, you start new. Whatever it is holding you back, you don't have to keep it holding you back.
Ralph, one of the things he does is he always waits till tomorrow. He never does it right now. So there's one tomorrow after another, and that's unfortunate for Jesse. I mean, I can see what you could say that to somebody who, takes a bull by the horns, gets the job done, but we're not seeing that yet with him.
Yeah. Because there only is now. All right. Well, you guys want to, how about we break for the night then and come back tomorrow?
That sounds good. Till tomorrow. What's on the topic tomorrow?
We'll see if there are any lingering questions about assemblage point tomorrow. Maybe we'll clean those up if there are any before moving into chapter 3.
Chapter 3, I think there was something interesting about, I forget the exact phrase, peer learning, peer something.
Time binding?
Time binding. That's a very interesting, phrase, word, topic. I want you guys to get to that.
Yeah. If Jesse could digest the just the punishment that I put myself through for a bunch of years, what it cost, and then that would be like time binding, unless he's dead set on going down the road, which he appears to be. Everybody's free to make their own mistakes and bang their heads against the wall. You don't have to. You could take someone else's lessons, which is what time binding's about. But each his own, as they say. Alrighty then. Sound good? Reconvene tomorrow, 8 p.m.
See you guys tomorrow night.
Thanks all.
Night.
Thank you.
See ya.